Hey guys, just got done watching 1973's The Baby, starring Anjanette Comma, Ruth Roman, Marianne Hill, Suzanne Zena, Michael Pataki, and David Manzi as The Baby. Now, this film is a great psychodrama. It's more of a psychodrama kind of horror than it is an normal horror film. Like, for instance, instead of it sounding like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, This is a horror psychodrama. Basically, it's horrific, but it's not horrific. It's rated PG, so that just kind of tells you what kind of horror film it is. So it's all about the mind more than the actual, horror. So basically, let's get started. Basically, at the beginning, you see a woman looking at pictures of a baby, and then she sees pictures of that baby growing up, and then basically she turns up on the, let me get their name right, uh, the Wadsworths, that's it. The Wadsworths, I made a couple of notes, I've got the names right. The Wadsworth family's home, which is massive. You'd think they were multi-millionaires or something, it was that big. So it turns up and she says basically she wanted this case because after hearing about it, she thought it was special. And what it turns out is that baby is a full-grown man, but he's a baby, basically. And she basically sees him getting fed by his sisters. One who's called Jermaine, and the other one called Alba, I think her name is. Let's have a look again on my notes. Yep, Alba and Jermaine. And basically, they all don't like her because what happens is Anne wants to the welfare worker, support worker Anne. She wants to give him she wants to give him like therapists to test his skills and stuff, make sure that he can do things that they act like he can't. So basically, you get a back and forth kind of, we don't want you to do this, we don't want you to do that kind of stuff. And she gets times alone with him where she tries to get him to walk and stuff. And it's a bit creepy. The mum who's played by Ruth Roman, who's also known for Strangers on a Train, she's awesome. She really plays the psychotic mother pretty well. It's not about what she does, it's about the eyes. You watch her eyes, you see everything. Our two daughters, now, the two daughters, they're a bit creepy themselves. But you see, Baby, which is the baby's name, Jermaine and Alba, all three of them have different fathers that have left, apparently. And so they're not blood related, but they are like they're half blood related, obviously from the mother. So basically, there's a scene where there's a babysitter babysitting baby, and she's on the phone to her boyfriend, and she goes, "You can't come over because you know what these freaks are like." And no, I'm not wearing. I'm not. No, I'm not. My panties are not wet, and all this stuff. And she's going on about it. Yes, she's wearing her panties, right? Because her boyfriend wants her to take them off on the phone. And you think this girl's got pretty alright. She's a good girl. She's decent. She's friendly. She's good, right? Goes upstairs, right? Baby wants out, so she lets him out. Blah blah blah. He's hungry. Starts squeezing on her breast, so she decides to undo her top so he can suck on her nipple, basically. And you're like, woo, yeah. You don't see anything, but it's implied because you see his head going. What happens? Miss Wordsworth, Jermaine, and Alba come home. They catch her. They beat her badly, and then they throw her out. So you're like, okay, they're very possessive, a baby. You think they're trying to stop him from kind of them finding out a secret. So then later on, you find out that Anne's husband had an accident, and basically, but she's married. And her husband had an accident. And you see pictures of her and him, which she's watching like a slideshow on the screen thing. And you're like, okay, what's going on here then? So you go back, and basically she tries to help Baby walk again, and they tell her to shove off, basically. and and then they prod him with this stick thing that electrocutes him, and you're like, prod stick thing, and you're like, okay, this is a bit weird. Then you see Jermaine, his sister, take her clothes off. You don't see her naked, but you see her climb into the crib with him. So you start thinking maybe they have sex. It's implied. So then basically there's a party and they call her because they're supposed to all go and see a therapist, but they don't go. So basically Anne ends up going to the party and she's like, woo, woo, and she's having fun and she's going, you got to be in it to win it and all this stuff. And she says basically that luck isn't chance. If you got it, you've got it. And they drug her. They then tie her up and gag her. Who saves her? Baby does. Baby saves her to the rescue. You know, all that. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So she gets free and she decides to kidnap Baby. She takes Baby with her. So they go after her and they can't find her. They don't get any calls and then they get a picture from her. I don't know why, but for some reason Anne had a reason to send him a picture of Baby dressed up in a suit, standing up, holding on a chair. Seems a bit weird. But the other ironic thing is I've watched 2 movies tonight, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Baby, and they both had the same camera being used in them. Yes, they're from the same time, but how weird is that? That's a side note. So then basically Mrs. Wadsworth, Jermaine and Albert, they all decide they want to save Baby. They're going to go and get Baby. So Mrs. Wadsworth sends in Albert and Jermaine, and she goes in a little bit later and finds one dead and the other one coming out of a doorway with a knife in her back. And you're like, ooh, boy, it's going to heat up. So then basically Anne goes for Mrs. Wadsworth with her axe and misses. She gets the axe, she misses. She gets chased, and see, Anne lives with her mother-in-law in this big home. So her mother-in-law comes out, and basically Mrs. Wadsworth jumps off the balcony thing, like off the stairs, and basically breaks both her legs. She then gets pulled to this area where both her girls are dead, and they get buried in this hole, basically. Then it shows Anne opening up the closet at the end. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. And she says, are you okay now, baby? And he goes, and she takes him into a room where her husband is, from where he had an accident. He's the same way as Baby. So basically she goes, I bought you a friend. I bought you a friend, Roger. Baby, meet him. And they're basically getting along. And then you're like this. You're like creepy. And then at the very end, you see Roger's mum sitting by the pole, and Anne and Baby and Roger in the pool, jumping up and down and everything. You're like, okay. So that's basically how it ends. And she's happy because not only she got Roger, but she's got Baby who can be friends with Roger because they're both of the same mentality now. So I'm sitting there watching this movie originally thinking, where's the horror in this movie? There's nothing horror in this movie. And then, to be fair, it was psycho horror, like, you know, but it's through drama. And I guess because I watched so much actual horror lately, but, you know, like violent horror, but I forgot what drama horror was like. It's a good film. People have said this film is really weird. To be honest with you, I didn't find it that weird at all. I thought it was quite basic. I thought it was something probably weird in the 70s. It's one of the most bizarre films to come out of Hollywood in the 70s. I honestly didn't find it that weird. You know, but maybe it's because I watched a lot of creepy shit since it came out. I mean, if you watch the Serbian film, Human Centipede, and all that other rubbish, you're not going to find this creepy or weird. You're going to just think, oh, okay, what's happening? It's a good film. It kept my attention, which surprised me, because the first half an hour, I'm a bit like, well, Baby's just going, for the whole thing. But the character of Baby is actually quite thrilling. What I mean by that is, you want to see if he's pretending. You want to see if it's all a charade. Because there's times when Mama, played by Ruth Roman, He looks at him and all of a sudden he won't do something. Like she goes, and you're like, okay. And the movie, through the whole movie, there are hints of what the ending is going to be. I will say this, Anjanette Coma was very beautiful in this movie. Woo! I tell you. I kept thinking through the whole movie that she was going to get off with Baby. How creepy is that? But I doubt my mind. But I kept thinking, this woman's going to sleep with Baby. The chemistry is there. It's going to happen. But now that technically Roger and Baby are together, I guess it could happen. Because she was kissing them both on the lips and everything. So it was a fairly decent film. I won't call it a horror film. Like on the cover, it shows like the baby in there with an axe on the cover, like holding an axe. That never happens. He never holds an axe in the whole movie. And to be honest with you, it's presented as a full-out horror film, but it's not. It's like I said, it's like one of those psychodrama horror films. So it's good, but I guess it's kind of like watching something like Strangers on the Train. You're watching it, it's more of a thriller than a horror, if you get what I'm saying. And it's good. It's good. I really liked it. I'd give it 3.5 because I really enjoyed it. But it's one of those films that I'd watch now and I'd go, this is awesome. And I'd watch it again and I wouldn't think it was as awesome then. That's the type of film this is. So if you haven't seen The Baby, give it a go. It's not bad. It's not horrible. It's not fantastic. But it's good for at least one watch. So, yeah. The ending was quite good, but very predictable if you watch the film properly. So, thanks for watching, guys. That's The Baby from 1973. Thanks again for watching, and take care.